Oh my gosh, look who's in the car with me. It's Spider-Man!
You're my eyes and ears, man. I need you.
Hello everyone, welcome to this special review of a movie that got released today or tomorrow. It's one of the most anticipated movies of the year. I've got Spider-Man himself with me right now. Actually, go ahead and take off the mask, show them who Spider-Man really is.
Well, some call me Peter Parker, but I prefer to go by Rick.
Yeah, my cousin Rick is back for another review that we're doing on my channel. So tonight, we got to see an early screening. It's getting released tomorrow, but we saw the 7 o'clock showing IMAX 3D. I would say IMAX Lite, Diet IMAX. Yeah, like the biggest, you know. So we got to see Spider-Man. Oh, sorry, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. We also they gave us some posters. Maybe we'll show them off a little bit after we talk about the movie a little bit. So, first impressions about Spider-Man movies. Just let's stick to movies because
yes.
I don't really know comic books very well.
Yeah.
So let's just stick to movies. How did you feel about some of the original Spider-Man movies that have come out in the last 10 years?
Honestly,
12 years.
Honestly, this one is the best so far.
Well, we're gonna talk about the originals first.
Okay, the original. I am saying it's the best out of all of them.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, I mean,
review over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The first ones, they were great, but what you're gonna see in this, obviously, and with all of your DC comic / Marvel comic book ones, because they're both phenomenal between the different comic book series. I have to say that CG is getting to the point now where, I mean, they really can make the movies like they do the comic books. I mean, just the action sequences and the way that they move, the fluidity of like how they can like beat the snot out of each other, and just the explosions and the way that they just knock stuff around. We're finally there, guys. I love it. I love how it is now compared to the originals. This one, like the originals to me were probably like they were good. I mean, obviously they were the first attempt at really making this comic book series Spider-Man what it was, and they did a great job, and I can never take that away from them. But as far as what they can do now with it, with the CG and everything, it's there. This movie was phenomenal in my book.
Well, for me, when it comes to Spider-Man, it's really just about the movies. I have not read any of the comic books. I don't know the lore, the mythology. I was just hoping for good movies. I'm hoping for entertaining movies. And with the first two Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire 1 and 2, I liked the first one. I think the second one is really, really great. I hated Spider-Man 3 with a passion. I hate that movie with a passion. Have I told you that I hated that movie with a passion? Have I told you that?
Twice.
Okay.
On Tuesday.
And then in 2012, they decided to do it all over again. 2012, they decided to do it all over again. We now call it The Amazing Spider-Man, and start off with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Mary Jane is out of the picture. We've got Gwen Stacy full time, even though I think she had a little bit in part 3. She was a little bit of part 3. So pretty much, I liked The Amazing Spider-Man from 2012. But what upset me the most about that one was it was just a rehash of what we've already seen on screen.
Totally.
Let's get right into we already know how Spider-Man came to be. So let's just, if we're going to start all over again, let's just start in the middle, where Spider-Man's been around, the world's kind of had to deal with Spider-Man, and just their reaction to the whole idea of Spider-Man. And I think while watching part 2, now we've seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we've gotten that all out of the way. Hopefully now we can start just making fun, entertaining comic book movies. Was that the case with The Amazing Spider-Man 2? That's what I was hoping for. And did I get that? Hell yes. I got that with a big hell yes. Because this one was so much fun. Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it has flaws. Yes, it falls in those weird tropes of the Spider-Man movies. Even the greatest Spider-Man movie, in my opinion, is still Spider-Man 2 from 2004. But that movie still has it has its issues. That's what I want to say. It has some of its weird, strange issues that it goes for, but I just love Doc Ock as a villain. For this one, I had no anticipation at all. I actually went into this movie not really excited about it because I really wasn't a huge fan of the 2012 film. So I went into this movie I kind of just tried to have an open mind and an open heart, having no expectations whether it would be good or bad, and hopefully something magical would happen. and I felt like that was the case. Go ahead. Now you can talk about Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's always, it gets so confusing. Like, years from now, they're going to be like, oh, I love Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 from 2004, or Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2 from 2014. It's so damn confusing. Go ahead, dude.
I gotta say that for me, really, I'm coming from the opposite end as my cousin. Like, I am totally into the comic books, and I've been an avid reader of them since, like, I was tiny little guy. And for me, it's really all about just trying to live inside the comic book. And the original did a great job for what it could with the technology that was available. And now I think that, you know, as the years go on, it's a story that's never going to end, obviously, because if you look at how many years Spider-Man's been in the comic books, they have so much story lore to draw upon that it's something that I am so excited to see, and this movie really brought it back for me because it really showed me that they're at that level now to where they can actually, like, put on the screen what Stan Lee dreamed up when he was, you know, having it drawn up on the pages. Just the movements and the action sequences. And honestly, this Spider-Man, I did not really care for him in the last one because, personally, to me, he seemed not manly enough, if you want to say. He just seemed a little bit too soft for me. And in this one, he totally reversed that whole feeling for me. Like, he to me, he's my Spider-Man hero now. He's somebody that I think is very capable as far as the way he portrayed him as being able to slaughter all the rest of the spider minions that will be coming after him in the future episodes. And I'm really excited to continue this journey because Marvel has really outdone themselves, and I love their work. I mean, I'm like such a kid, and I can't wait. I got a 10-year-old son now, and he gets to actually live the comic books now on screen. I'm kind of jealous at him because, like, I didn't get that as a kid, and it's like this is bringing me back to my childhood, and I totally am so excited for it.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and there were like a lot of really great action set pieces that had me on the edge of my seat. I think the beginning, when we get to see what happened to Peter Parker's family, his parents, I almost got emotional. I was like, wow, you're already starting off like this. You're starting pretty good. And then it gets right into this great action sequence because we got a lot of stuff going on. This movie has maybe too much stuff going on because we've got like villain after villain. We've got the Rhino, Paul Giamatti. We got Electro, Jamie Foxx. We got the Hobgoblin, I think that's what his name is, or Green Goblin, I'm not really sure.
Green Goblin.
Hobgoblin, it's comic book fans will know. Played by Dane DeHaan. So there's a lot of stuff going on here at the same time, and I think that filmmakers Mark Webb does a really good job, film director, Mark Webb does a really good job to juggle these things around. I think I think the first time he didn't really have an idea what he wanted to be done. And I think this time he feels comfortable being there. I think the performances by the villains, especially Jamie Foxx, who plays a really sympathetic, sometimes maybe too sympathetic characters when he does become bad, it's kind of rewarding. And I think he's a really strong villain. I think Spider-Man probably has the best villains out of the Marvel Universe, in my opinion, because I love Doc Ock. I can't wait. Hopefully they'll incorporate Doc Ock in another way.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching all this stuff happen on screen. I'm like, this is something like this should have happened in the Avengers. I think the Avengers would have been great against Electro and all these great characters, but maybe they're just centered to Spider-Man. But anyways, for a fan that's not a fan of Spider-Man, this is definitely one of the better Spider-Man movies, even though I think 2014 is not perfect itself. But Spider-Man 2 from 2004 is just, I think, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. I think because I loved the villain of Doc Ock, and I just loved that film, how that film worked out. But I think what this film, back to 2014, this just did a really good job to make a fun comic book movie. I felt like I was turning the pages of comic books and enjoying it. That's how I felt about watching this movie. There are cheesy moments, there are silly moments, there's stuff that's gonna, roll eyes of some people, but I felt like it was just a fun action movie. A little too long. I would have shaved off about 20 minutes of the film. That's okay. There's not really a lot to complain about at this moment. Maybe after I see it again, I might see more flaws in the film, but It was great in IMAX. It was great in, even though we saw it in Diet IMAX, it was great in 3D. I recommend this movie in IMAX 3D. It was this 3D when he's flying around. That was some great stuff. The score by Hans Zimmer, incorporating some other musicians, including Pharrell Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Really unique score. I can't wait to hear the score by itself. Because it really, the sound system all around, there was like all these voices that were incorporated into
that was the coolest,
Electro,
wasn't it?
and you were like, Electro's mind was incorporating itself into the score, and I was like, this is just working so well, and has so much fun watching this. So for me, this was pretty damn close to what I wanted Spider-Man to be, and wanted to be the first time in 2012. Just get all that crappy origin stuff out of the way, and then let's get right on to what's going on. I think they did a good job of juggling things around at the same time to be completely entertaining. Not a perfect film by any means, but a lot of fun.
I totally am glad you brought that up, because that was absolutely one of the things that I think everybody is going to like just kind of trip a little bit out on when it first happens to him in the theater, because the way that they do his thoughts in his head for Electro is phenomenal. Like, that's seriously like something that I can see that other directors will look at this movie and incorporate that in the future, because you really got a chance to be able to see kind of, in a sense, not necessarily inside the mind of like Electro, but you got a chance to be able to kind of hear what goes on in his head. And it's more than just kind of like, you know, your random scary movies where you hear like, you know, someone going, you know, I hear dead people or crazy things like that. But you really kind of get to this feeling of like light and darkness, like somebody like kind of telling him to do something. Like, you almost feel like, oh wow, this is like either, you know, the devil's version of Jiminy Cricket in his head, because you really kind of get that feeling that somebody, because of the way he's, you know, had his life, and as you'll get in that story, you'll see why it's that way. And I loved it. I think that, I hope I see that incorporated more in movies. You'll get to see that a lot.
All right, before we just close off with our final grade of the film, I just want to show off some cool stuff that we got. A cool poster they were handed out for the film. I'm definitely going to keep that, because I actually thought this was a pretty phenomenal film.
Yeah.
And also, because we saw it in IMAX, they gave these cool IMAX posters right here, so check that out. That's pretty damn cool, my IMAX poster. So definitely much better for me than the original 2012 film. Really enjoyed it. Spider-Man, take off your mask and give us your final grade. Final grade for the film, Cousin Rich.
I'm definitely, because it's where it's at, like, I got to give it a 5 fingers out of 5.
5 fingers out of 5. There you go.
Because for me, it was, I mean, it stayed true to the storyline, but then, as you know, beyond that, it really gave me the story I was looking for. As far as like, I've been waiting my whole life for some awesome sequences like what I saw, and just like we talked earlier with the voice thing, this movie encapsulated everything that I was hoping for in this movie. And it, honestly, I know that I like to try to go into movies and have a blank canvas, but it's really kind of hard when there's such an amazing amount of lore that has already built up the, you know, the whole world behind this. And you know, so you almost kind of want to go into it like not expecting anything, as I know a lot of times you do, because you don't want to be disappointed. And so you kind of go in hoping that it's going to be good, but quietly you're kind of just going, well, you know what, I'm just going to try to like stay neutral until it's all over. And for me, it was like right out the gate, as you'll see in this movie, right out the gate, they just get the movie going, and it was just like from the get-go, just go, 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 and I loved it. 5 fingers out of 5.
Yeah, I'm glad my expectations were put to the side, and I didn't have any expectations. It really helped my experience, because I wasn't disappointed by this movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I loved how ridiculous at times it was. It was entertaining. I liked all the villains that were brought up, especially Electro. He was, you know, the one that had the most depth to himself. We got to know him mainly before, of course, the other one as well. I wish I was more emotional. What happens at the end when you see what's going on in this movie? I wish I was more emotional at the very end. I was more emotional at the beginning. There's some great stuff that happens in Times Square. That was a great action sequence. There's some great stuff that happens to the Rhino. There's this really amazing action sequence that happens near the end that I just wish I was more emotional for. And if I was, I probably would have given this the perfect grade. But there's some problems. There's some issues with it, as all Spider-Man movies have. But I still enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. It was damn entertaining. It's why I go to the movies in the first place. It reminds me of being a kid
Absolutely.
again, enjoying movies before
it.
I started to be so critical of them. And so I try to watch this as a kid and as an adult and balance it out for that. And I saw the critical side of it, and I also saw the fun side. And for that, I give the Amazing Spider-Man 2 2014 version a solid 3.5 stars out of 4. All right. Thank you, Cousin Rich, for joining me with this review.
Thank you, Movie Man Chad.
And please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. I am on Twitter and I'm on Facebook. And please go to WeLiveFilm.com and subscribe right here on YouTube to We Live Film. Also go to Long Beach Acting and Film Association right here on Facebook and Twitter. Please also go to MoviePod.com. If you enjoyed this video review, please click right here. Subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Let us know what you thought of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, whether you liked it or not. Please voice your opinion. Your opinion matters. Thank you again, Rich, and hopefully my cousin Rich will come back for another review. We'll wait for like a big movie that we see together.
Yeah.
We'll review it, because you know that last one we saw, you probably would use a lot of bad language, would you say? Don't bring it up. Don't bring it. Just say it.
It was not. It was one of my worst movies I ever saw.
Yeah, I didn't want to do a review because I was fearing that he'd probably drop a lot of F-bombs. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Go check out Spider-Man 2. Sorry, The Amazing... It's so damn confusing. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 coming out May 2nd, tomorrow, as I do this review, May 2nd, 2014. Goodbye, everyone.
And post.
And scene.